Hey guys, welcome to the video. So today I'm going to be doing a short video on how to make a wet palette. If you're new to miniature painting, you've probably watched a few tutorials on painting and you've probably seen some people using a wet palette. They are a great tool for miniature painting. They will make things a lot easier. So today in this video I'm going to show you how to make a wet palette. So you only need a few ingredients. Basically you want to get a Tupperware tub. You'll also need a sponge of some sort. I'm using these cloths. So they're really cheap. This makes for a really cheap wet palette as well. And also just some greaseproof paper, and you'll need some water as well. Just got one of those, a bottle of water there. So the first thing you're going to want to do, what I like to do with my wet palette, a lot of people will actually use the tub. What I like to do is actually use the lid. I kind of do it that way around, as when I store it, we'll come back to that later. So you just take your lid, and now you want to grab a cloth. So I actually got these from the supermarket. They're 35p for 10, so you're looking at like 4p each, so super cheap. Okay, so if you've got quite a big tub, if you have quite a big tub, you can probably just use the whole sheet, but where this one's too big, I'm just going to fold it or cut it down to size. So simply just fold it in half. As you can see, it's still a little bit too big. I'll just fold a crease in that and then use a pair of scissors to cut the rest down. Just grab my scissors. Okay, so I'll just look where my fold was. Simply just cut. Wasn't the straightest cut, but you know, you can take your time. Just make it perfect. Okay, so that fits in. Now what you want to do, grab your water and just soak that, or your sponge, whatever you're using. These cloths just make it really cheap, super cheap, especially if you're on a budget. Then this is a great way to go. So just completely soak that cloth. Doesn't quite go to both edges, but what I like about this is you have a little, like, kind of water well at the side. So if you ever need any extra water, simply just take some from the edge. Okay, so now we've got to the stage. Next you'll need your parchment paper. Then just cut off a piece of paper to fit on the palette. So I'll just do that now off camera. Okay, so yeah, I have my paper here. So it's slightly smaller, but This is just for demonstration purposes. You can make yours a bit bigger. Okay, so just add it to the on top of the cloth or the sponge, and you'll see it will curl up. Just leave it, it'll uncurl again in a second. As you can see now, it's starting to it's actually starting to fold again. Just flatten that down. Okay, so that's on there now. There's one thing you want to do. Is just soak up any droplets of water on top. So otherwise you'll thin your paints down a little bit too much. So just use a paper cloth, paper towel. Okay, so we're looking pretty good there. Right, let's go ahead and add some paint. A little bit of a Bad and Black from Games Workshop. Give that a good shake. So I'm using Citadel paints from Games Workshop. I've actually decanted these into dropper bottles, so they normally come in these. I've actually done a tutorial on that as well. I'll link that at the end of the video. So let's just add a little paint. So what this palette actually does, where we have the cloth underneath the parchment, what it does when the paint starts to dry out, it'll actually absorb water through the paper and keep the paint hydrated, so you'll be able to use your paints for a lot longer. Also, when you're mixing paints, if you'll do it on a normal palette and you've made a certain colour and you want to use that colour later on that day or the next day, normally it'll be dry, it would have dried out. But with a wet palette you have a much longer working time, and you'll be able to preserve those mixed colours for a lot longer. And also the wet palette is much better for wet blending, so just go ahead and add a little bit more paint. Just got a bit of Mephiston red from Games Workshop again. Yeah, so once you've got your paint on there, you can just go ahead and paint. Made a mistake there already. Never mind. Take a little bit of red paint. So that's pretty much how you make a wet palette. So another thing you can do, so the reason why I like to use the lid is you're not always like, you're not necessarily dipping in, you can just come in. Doesn't make too much of a difference, but I find it just takes up less space on your desk, and you can also, instead of using the lid as a lid, just use the actual tub there as a lid. What you could do is just cut these bits off. Really simple. And best thing to do now to stop condensation is just drill a hole into the tub, and that will stop condensation and water building on top of the lid and then dripping down into your paints, and then watering the paints down even more. Another tip also, when you've finished painting, you can put your wet palette away in the fridge, and that will actually keep your paints hydrated for a lot longer, weeks or maybe even a month. So that's another great tip, and I think that will pretty much conclude today's video. Thanks for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in another one soon.